Hey, welcome to Only Learn to Hunt. We're doing a cooking webinar today. So we're going to go over a couple recipes that we've used in the past. And the good news is that these are some pretty broad recipes. So some of them you can interchange with any wild game meat, really. So we're going to go over a pizza that Curtis is going to tell us about, and then we're going to do some pheasant as well. So you can, again, interchange any real bird for that. So we have sliders, and then we also have some nuggets. So Curtis, today we're going to be doing the pizza, right? So you want to tell us a little bit about your pizza?
Yeah, so nice thing about pizza is it's super, all the pieces are interchangeable. So if you have a crust, if you have some type of wild game that you can use as the meat, some sauce and some cheese, whatever other toppings you want on there, that's considered a pizza. So what we chose to go with is we did go ahead and get the pre-made pizza crust. So we went easy on that. You can certainly make your own. We got the pre-made pizza crust and the pre-made in a jar pizza sauce. So we're going to be using that here today. We've got a provolone and mozzarella mix of cheese that we're going to use for the cheese on this pizza. We've got some deer steak. This is a little bit of deer steak from the back ham from a deer 2 years ago. So all I did was kind of slice this into little pieces. I seasoned it up with a little bit of that Pork Mafia Texas Gold seasoning, which is really good.
Oh, yeah.
Sprinkled a little bit of cornstarch on there to give it a crust, and then threw it in a hot skillet with some melted butter and a little bit of black truffle oil to give it some flavor. Cook that deer beforehand, so it's already cooked. That's going to be our main protein to top the pizza. And then we've got some fresh veggies, some of which are from Dan's garden. We've got some Anaheim and jalapeno peppers. We went ahead and took the seeds out of the jalapenos so they're not super hot. We've got some diced up red onion, which gives it a little crisp, a little flavor, and a little bit of color as well. And then we got some dried shiitake mushrooms that I went ahead and rehydrated these. Just soaked them in some warm water for about 45 minutes to rehydrate them. And then we got some really wonderful, flavorful, very aromatic basil from Dan's garden. So we're going to sprinkle that on the pizza as kind of the cherry on top.
Wow. Dude, that's awesome. And again, with these recipes, it's kind of like a Trojan horse method of giving people wild game, right?
I mean, whatever you want. It could be squirrel, it could be any kind of wild game, and any kind of ingredients you got, throw them on there. That's the good thing about pizza. Customize it for you, your family, your friends. You could even do half with jalapeno, half with pineapple, or whatever else you want on there. Anchovies.
And if you have kids or relatives that don't usually eat wild game, they're not going to really know the difference.
Great way to introduce them. Yeah, it just looks like a pizza.
Yeah,
you don't even have to tell them until afterwards, and really good.
Yeah.
Onions on here. Nice splash of color and a little crispiness, and tasty too. Everybody loves onions. You don't want to overload it because obviously we've got several different toppings to put on this pizza. Now, a few of the peppers. Obviously, if you've got anybody in your house that doesn't like any heat at all, just leave half of it with no peppers, or only the Anaheims, or just use bell peppers and they'll just be sweet, but you'll still get that crisp and that crunch, and of course that nice color too. I like jalapenos. I don't even mind the seeds. I could put the whole thing on there and I think it would still be good, but removing the seeds make them a little bit milder for the broader appeal for more people. Right, now let's get a few of these shiitake mushrooms here. We'll scatter them on this pizza. A little bit, so every little slice gets a little bit of them here, but not overloaded.
I'm already impressed with the color palette you went with here. I mean, you really put thought into making. I mean, it's not just a flavor, but I mean, you really are. Yeah. It looks good already. It's not even cooked yet.
I like to eat all my colors, and make sure you get a diversity of colors, a diversity of textures, flavors. Yeah, I mean, I'm from Missouri, which some people will call the South. And I guess in the South, they like, flavorful stuff. I don't know. I do anyway.
it has to be a diet trend somewhere. You have to eat the rainbow. Like I need to eat something green today. I don't know.
So yeah, people
a
say
thing?
that, right? They used to say that. Try to eat something green, eat something orange, make sure you're getting all your vitamins and nutrients. All right, now we got a good amount of deer on here. Now I like to add just a little bit more cheese over these toppings, just because the cheese will melt over these toppings and help hold them in. We don't want chunks of deer steak to slide off this pizza when we're ready to serve it. So think of this extra little cheese here as an adhesive layer. And of course, not to forget, we're going to top this off with some of Dan's fresh basil from the garden.
There you go.
And we'll just go ahead and rip off some leaves and sprinkle them on here. Ooh, it smells good. Sorry, Jason.
Oh, you're good. I was just saying we got our bases covered. We do got something from the garden, so it's always good to try to get that one thing in your meal there from home.
Little greens, little micro greens, not a ton of greens, this is a more meat heavy pizza, but we're putting some on there. So if you want to, go ahead and call it a salad. We're not gonna make fun of you for that. All right, wow, that smells good. I could pick that basil all day, but this thing right here is ready for the oven. And lucky, Jason, we've got handy dandy helpers who are going to get this pizza in the oven, get this cheese melted, and get it ready for us to eat.
That sounds good to me. All right. So, Curtis, you do have, you're talking about how this is a way to try to get some wild game into some people's diets that might not have it already. I know you have some kids. Do you have any go-to recipes you have to try to get some wild game in their diet, or are they just used to it at this point?
Yeah, basically doing the same thing like with this pizza and trying to cook things that are familiar. So whether it be a pizza or just like spaghetti, any recipe that you use normally, you can swap out for some kind of wild game, and there's going to be minimal change in that. Like hamburger helper, if you like the one pot meals, which of course I do, sometimes you gotta get stuff done in a hurry. Some hamburger helper with ground deer or even deer steak that's chopped up small, like the stuff we used on this pizza, excellent. And you can feed that when the neighbor kids are over, or anybody that's not used to wild game, and they're probably not even going to know that it's not beef. So yeah, I really like that. And of course, the fried like nuggets and strips, we do that at some of our workshops because it's a crowd pleaser. You take a chunk of meat and batter it up, and I forgot to mention that the seasoning that I used on the deer, we got some of the pork mafia seasonings for a turkey workshop we did here this spring, and we were really impressed. So I used some of the Texas Gold on this deer stuff. We got some right here. Here. That's not the Texas Gold, but that's the Louisiana Bayou and Bayou, however you want to say it.
Yep.
Really good stuff. Yeah. Awesome.
So that was donated to us to the program.
Yeah.
Nice
and tasty. But yeah, the nuggets, we made the turkey nuggets using some of this pork mafia seasoning, and gosh, those things, I don't think any of those nuggets ever hit a plate. It's like they got out of the oil and they were eaten. They were just gone.
Yeah, I got that bird this spring with Adam, and he told me, I'm like, okay, what's a big old tom? What's the best thing to do with it? He's like, yeah, cut it up into nuggets. And the same thing happened. I probably put half in the fridge. I had it several pound breast on those, right? So they were just big slabs of meat, and cut that up, and I think I was eating them out of the pan before I put them in the fridge almost. I think I was done my dinner before I even had them all fried up.
Oh yeah. So, I do love to make, some fancier type meals if you're having friends over a dinner party, something like that. But you don't have to get super fancy with wild game. Wild game's good on its own. You want to make a pizza. I cooked this deer in just a matter of, less than 10 minutes on a hot skillet, a little bit of butter and oil. Nothing too fancy. Yeah, I added a little bit of the oil with the black truffle just to spice it up a little bit, but that's not needed. Wild game's fine on its own, and especially the nuggets. You're talking about something that cooks quick. Yeah, there's some cleanup anytime you're doing any frying, but they cook really fast, crowd pleaser, and I really haven't met too many omnivores that's going to turn down a fried schnitzel or nugget if you put it down in front of them.
Absolutely. And then to broaden out a little bit farther, you said this deer was about 2 years old, you think it is? So
Yeah.
how'd you preserve that meat? And like, how is it still good after 2 years? Like, what's usually the lifespan on something like that?
Yeah, well, we'll find out when we eat it. But, no, I've eaten a lot of wild game that's 2 years old, and that's about my max. I like to try to clean it out at 2 years. Not to say I haven't extended that a little bit from time to time, but that's about my max. And the way I like to store boneless meat, like deer, is I like to wrap it in clear plastic cling wrap. So get all the air out, wrap it real tight with plastic cling wrap. That also keeps it clean. Make sure the no fluids come out, and then wrap it in freezer paper, tape it up with a little bit of masking tape, and then write on there with a Sharpie the year, what it is, and what cut it is, so to make it real easy when I'm going to get stuff out of there. And that also helps me to know which chunk of meat to grab, because I went into my freezer, I had some deer from last year, but then I saw this one hanging on from 2 years ago, and I'm like, yep, there you go. That's the winner.
Yep.
That's the winner. And so yeah, held up good, no freezer burn. That's a great way to preserve it. I know you like to use a vacuum sealer.
I do the vacuum sealer, but you guys might have started to win me over on wrapping it with paper. I think it's a fails. It's kind of pretty safe to do, because I mean, sometimes I get them out of the freezer and there may have been some type of it's not tight anymore and it's like loose,
like a
and
little
then
breach of
yeah,
vacuum closure, basically.
exactly. So then you get them out and there's like kind of this like, yeah, exactly. So there's like limpness to the bag, and then there's a little bit of freezer burn on something, and then you start questioning it, and then you just hope for the best. But I feel horrible throwing out meat, so I'm going to try to cook it and see how it tastes. If it tastes all right, I'll go with it. But
Sure.
Right.
I love the vacuum sealer for fish, and especially if I put a little bit of water in there. It seems like if you've got them encased in water, even if you get a little hole after it's frozen, it protects it against that freezer burn. So I do love them for that.
You guys freeze them, just you put water and then just drown it in water and then freeze it as a big block of ice, basically, right?
Yeah, not a ton of water, just because it takes up more room in the freezer, but just enough water so that when I look in there, if I see it has water, then I know it's not dried out and then freezer burn.
Okay. I gotcha. Well, with that, we're going to go to the kitchen where we're going to see these guys cook up some more pheasant.
Okay, everybody, welcome to the Learn Hunt Kitchen here. We're going to be working on 2 recipes. We're going to do buffalo pheasant sliders, and then we're also going to do like basically pheasant nuggets in the convection oven, so similar to an air fryer, which are really popular these days. And got this idea from the recipes that are going on Instagram Reels and TikTok these days. Super quick and easy. I'm not usually a recipe guy, so I'm more from the heart, add the ingredients as we go. But obviously the meat is cooked to temperature. We have it shredded right here. We did that in the Instapot. If you don't have an Instapot, you can just slow cook it. I seared it off first with seasonings and then put it in the Instapot this is one pheasant, whole pheasant. So it took about 15, 16 minutes. Obviously, slow cooker, that's probably going to be upwards of 2 to 3 hours to really get it nice and tender to shred it. The reason kind of why we like to do shredded meals with small game is because, first of all birds have hollow bones, and when they break, you cut them, or if you harvest an animal and a BB breaks a bone, those bones and those shards are really sharp. So instead of trying to, mess with it and eat things off the bone, if you shred it, you feel all those bones. I shred everything with gloves on. So, you can feel around, you get all the BBs out, all the extra feathers, if you missed any, out. So it's just an easy way. And then you can cook a bunch of meat, like at the beginning of the week, and do different recipes with the same meat throughout the week. So that's also makes it super easy. So again, buffalo pheasant sliders here. We got all of our ingredients. One pheasant, we're going to add, this meat's, we warmed it up, so we're going to add 1/2 of a stick of cream cheese, 1/2 a stick of butter in there. So obviously butter makes everything good. And then sauce, that's going to be, usually I try to go for about 1/2 of the bottle. It's up to you on how like saucy and liquidy you want it. Again, also, it's up to you on the cream cheese. If you want it creamier or not. I like more spice than creamy, so that's what we're going with. And we're basically just going to work that all in. Also in here, we made basically pheasant stock earlier, which we kept, and it's in the fridge. When you cook things in a slow cooker or in the Instant Pot, obviously you want the meat to have some sort of moisture. So we put in about a half a carton of just plain chicken stock, and then turn that into pheasant stock, basically with all the seasonings and then the pheasant juices. So you can use that for soup or whatever other recipes. But we just added a little bit of that in there again so the meat doesn't dry out, because pheasant tends to like to get a little bit dry. So just watch out for that. Just breaking up the chunks of butter and cream cheese here.
Woo, it's smelling good.
Smelling good. We got Dan behind the camera here.
I'm here, and it is smelling good.
Yes, we're gonna feast after this. Okay, while that just sits, this is just one pack of Hawaiian rolls, so 12 count. We've got a bag of mozzarella here that we're gonna layer the base of the rolls with. So again, that's up to you on how much you really like cheese. Just gonna give it a nice even cover here. How's that looking, Dan?
That's looking
that good? Up
My
to your
belly
spot?
is going.
Perfect. Okay, a couple more stirs here on the meat. Make sure all that's binded. Chunk of cream cheese there.
So where'd you get this pheasant, Adam?
This pheasant was from a put and take site called Moraine View, which is about, what would you say, 45 minutes west of Champaign. So it's an area where they stock the birds every day, and I believe you pay $30 for 2 pheasants, so you can shoot up to 2 pheasants. And again, they are farm raised, but in Illinois, it's hard to find areas with wild pheasants, so we stick with what we can get, and they still taste good, so that's a plus. Okay, so now we are going to take this buffalo mixture. Again, we're going to evenly spread this across.
Oh. And I tell you what I like to do with shredded pheasant, in addition to this and, nuggets, I find it really good on salads too. If you need a nice, especially as hot as it's been lately, it's kind of the perfect weather for a nice cold salad, and some shredded pheasant thrown on top can really elevate that salad quite a bit.
Yeah, like a chicken Caesar salad.
Exactly.
Yep. Fresh lettuce in the garden too.
You bet.
Yep. Some homemade dressing. Doesn't get more.
It does not get better than that.
No.
But man, is that smelling good.
Turned out pretty liquidy, but the bride will soak that up. So
Oh yeah.
We're gonna be good.
And this is one of those meals that's just so perfect because it's so quick and easy. Anybody can do, and if you've got 10 or 15 minutes after work, you can put together a really nice meal.
Yep. And so the buns, the key is to don't separate them, just cut them in half, so that when it gets baked, you just have your portions ready to go. So we're gonna put those back on top here. And then of course, we're gonna add a little bit more butter on top, just to get that nice golden brown when it bakes in the oven. And then I personally love garlic, so I always try to go with a little bit of minced garlic on top mixed in with this butter. We don't have any garlic right now, so we're gonna settle on some seasoning. It's still gonna be good. Perfect. And then we're gonna do a little bit of Frank's Red Hot on top, just to give it that extra little kick.
Yeah, that's going to add some nice color to that top too.
Yep.
Mixing in with that butter, nice.
Perfect. So now we're gonna set these in the oven. We got our oven going here, 350. Set that in. Oh, don't break the oven. Set that in. We have it at 350 for 15 minutes. It won't take that long. But basically what we're doing here, again, the meat is all cooked. And what we want to do is just melt the cheese and brown the top. Because again, the meat is cooked and that was already previously warmed, so it shouldn't take that long. On to the next recipe here. Let me clear out some room. We're gonna do some pheasant nuggets. So again, we're using a convection oven, which is basically what air fryers are. So basically treat this as like an air fryer recipe. Again, we have our brined pheasant. So this is brined in a sugar and salt brine, 50-50.
About
50-50.
And one of the keys I find is, especially with brine, is I like to try to go for about a tablespoon of salt per cup of water. So however much water it takes to kind of totally submerge and cover those nuggets. So if it takes 2 cups, I'll normally put in 2 tablespoons or so of salt.
Do you add any other seasoning to that?
Yeah, and you can actually see I have chopped up some fresh herbs from the garden. So I had some parsley, oregano, a little bit of basil. It doesn't add a ton of flavor, but adds just enough. But one of the most important aspects of brine is to wash it really good after it comes out of the brine. And now this already has been washed. I did sprinkle some more herbs on top just to give it some nice little color. But that's kind of a really key. Unless you like salty food, about as salty as you could get, make sure you rinse that brine off under nice cold water, just to make sure you remove a lot of that excess salt. But brine is really nice because it'll add and really retain and make that meat hold on to that moisture quite a bit.
Yes, I have good point about the rinsing because I've only brined something once and it was very salty. But hey, we gave it a try. So again, now we're just going to do, all these are cut up into pieces. So we're going to dump it into this flour mixture we have, which we season this up again with that pork mafia. Shout out to the gentleman who supplied us with the pork mafia. So that's some seasoned flour. We're just going to put them all in there.
And one of the really cool things about brining is it's not really an active process, right? It's similar to a marinade in that you can do it for 30 minutes to an hour. I personally like to do it overnight. I feel like that gets a really good brine, but you can certainly do it for an hour or two, or really as long as you want. If you only have an hour or so, that'll certainly at least be better than not brining.
Yep. And so the excess moisture from you rinsing the meat off is what's binding the flour to the meat. A lot of people like to do egg wash and all that stuff, which is fine. I like that on some things. But I found that even with like frying fish, lately I've been just, after I clean the meat, just put it straight into the breading. So that's similar to what's going on here. I do that with my turkey nuggets too. It just eliminates that extra step of egg wash and then back into the flour, and it turns out to be just as crispy. So if you haven't tried that, try that out. So there we go. We have that all covered up nice. We're going to line that up here on our baking sheet. And again, when you're eating game like pheasant and rabbit, squirrel, make sure to chew things slowly just in case that there is any shot left, especially if you're hunting them with, squirrels with a shotgun. Obviously, birds and rabbits are shooting with a shotgun. So, we always do our best to take all the BBs out.
Yeah, when I was actually breasting these out this morning and getting them thawed, I pulled out probably 6 or 7 BBs. So it's definitely something to be cautious about. But the nice thing about birds, I wish I would have saved a piece to show. But a lot of times, especially where that BB impacts the body, it'll kind of push a feather deep into the flesh. And so when you're cleaning it, a lot of times you can actually see that little bit of feather kind of sticking out, and it gives you a pretty good indication that there's a piece of shot kind of hidden in there.
I thought we were gonna run out of room.
Oh, we've got room.
We're gonna fit all of this on here. That's it. Check the flour, make sure we're not missing anything. And then last but not least, we're going to save this for when it's time to go in the oven. But we're going to just give it a little mist of Pam on there, just again to give it a little bit of oil to crisp that flour up. Don't drench it, obviously, but we're going to save that after the buffalo sliders are done, which we're looking at here. They're looking good. Yeah, so back to Jason and Curtis at the desk. We're going to finish up all this, and then we're going to do a nice taste test for you guys.
Back. So
I'm
that
getting
looked
more,
good.
more and more hungry watching all that stuff. Holy cow. Sliders, nuggets, pizza.
Mhm.
We need to go knock on some doors and invite some other people.
We need some more friends.
I mean, we're all pretty good at eating, but I'm not sure if we can get all this food down. It's going to be a challenge.
I think we're gonna have some lunch for tomorrow, it sounds like, which is not a bad thing. Man. So I think now we're just waiting for that pizza to come in and we'll taste test that. And then there's other things we're gonna finish up too.
I got to ask, what is your favorite all-time wild game? If you had to pick, I know it's hard to pick.
Man, I don't know. Dove is pretty good. I remember being a kid and being so excited for dove season because I can go and eat dove. So it's like the things you remember when you're a kid more than anything. Like, I mean, deer is deer. I mean, I love deer. I grew up eating, my family would go through 4 to 6 deer a year because we live in Pennsylvania. Doe tags were $9 and we just were able to go out and get that many deer. And then we just ate the whole year. And I ate a ton of hamburger helper, ton of steaks. And and just growing up, I think my parents, it was back when the pyramid was more in style for nutrition. So I think we always had like the meat, which was usually deer, and then like a starch and then a vegetable. And that was my dinner every night. And my dad would cook because my mom would get home around 6. So my dad would have dinner on the table at 6 o'clock when my mom got home from work. It was crazy. It was every day. It was pretty sweet. So
I didn't know you were so American pie.
it was
Jason.
super American pie. I had to leave it to be in childhood. There's a lot, parts of it, but anyway, I mean, it was, so deer would have been the main staple, but things that were treats, I think leave a bigger memory because we never got that many doves where we were at. Like, we get permission to go hunt on farmer's soybean field and try to get as many as you could. I mean, getting like more than 3 in a day was a good day for us because they just wanted to never come over the side of the field that we were at. But anyway, so I remember craving dove and deer heart. Eating deer heart was deer heart and eggs in the morning after you got the deer was a big tradition for us as well.
My favorite with the deer heart is make hors d'oeuvres with a little saltine cracker, a little chunk of deer heart, a little dab of mayonnaise, and then, a little bit of red onion or cilantro or just something to jazz it up. Awesome little hors d'oeuvres. Deer heart tastes like roast beef, except a little different consistency. But yeah, I'm right with you. Real good. And God, who doesn't love dove? I mean, I'm the kind of person, I always get bone-in wings, right? Not boneless wings. I like to eat meat off a bone, right? It satisfies something.
It's caveman.
It's something we're supposed to do. So it's so nice. Yeah, when you can get a dove that's not shot up and you can grill up those breasts and eat it off the bone. You're talking about a chicken that's all dark meat, that's a little tender chunk of just deliciousness. Way better than a chicken. I shouldn't make fun of dove by comparing it to a chicken.
It tasted.
It's a dark meat.
It tasted steakish. I mean, that's what made it so good.
Like a tender steak.
Just wish it was bigger. That's the only downside of doves is it's so dang small.
Giant doves.
That giant. I know. You gotta.
Doves.
Where's the genetic GMO for doves?
Well, you can get 15 of them though. So that is quite a few. That's a mess. 15 doves would be good for me. You get your 15. They get their 15. We can have a big meal.
That's right. I've seen photos of people doing it and never got around, and I've just never had that spot.
I've got 15, it's always been in Missouri though. Missouri, public land, really good dove hunting. So
nice.
Actually, I did get, I got one private land dove limit now that I think about it.
That's awesome.
But yeah, no, I'm right there with you. Those are awesome choices. I always default back to squirrel. Mainly because of how available it is and how good it is. It is really good. And I'm right with you with deer. Obviously this pizza is made from deer. I probably eat more deer than anything else. It's a big animal. You can get a lot of meat off of one. But wow, squirrel. Everybody has squirrels available to them. And if you get a young squirrel and you fry them up like they're doing these nuggets out here, I don't think there's a person in the world that's going to turn that down. If you like meat, you're going to like squirrel. And it's like chicken except better. You know, they're fattened up off of the acorns and all the local foods they get out there. It's free range. It's yeah, nothing wrong with squirrel. But yeah, and then when I think about it, then I'm like, yeah, really, duck is one of my favorite things to cook with too. Because yeah, some nice medium rare duck breast with the skin still on. It's unique. It's unlike any of the other. You know, like you can compare squirrel and rabbit to chicken pretty easily. You can compare deer to beef pretty easily. But when it comes to duck, there's really nothing that compares to duck. Duck's its own thing.
I know.
So I'm so bad at picking favorites. I don't think I can pick a favorite.
I was trying to change it up and ask you which one do you like the least, but I don't know if there's an answer to that either. I like everything. Which one do you like the least? Do you have one that's your? I don't know.
Gosh, yeah, I don't know. There's some things that I haven't tried that I'd be hesitant to try.
It's on how you cook
Like
it too.
possum, river otter. You don't want to eat river otter. It's generally pretty full of the heavy metals and the PCBs, and so there's some danger there. So there's a few things I wouldn't try, but gosh, it's hard. Yeah, it's hard to pick a least favorite too, because everything, if you put the effort into it, I've had raccoon that's been cooked excellent, and a whole giant group of people are eating it without a single complaint. So even some of the foods that are considered maybe not your choice,
with them being kind of scavengy though, is there any issues? Is there anything that you got to worry about with that meat at all?
got to cook it up to temperature. Raccoon roundworm is the big one that people worry about, and of course that's a parasite that lives in the intestine, so it's very unlikely to contaminate the meat. But luckily the eggs and the actual worm itself die at like 146 degrees, so as long as you cook it up to 165.
That's awesome. But I do regret asking you that because now we're about to try some pizza. So
well, yeah, just don't think about that roundworms. Oh, that looks good,
dude. That came out so good.
Nice blonde. Oh, it smells good too. Again, sorry, Jason.
Oh yeah, I don't have a sense of smell, or at least not a very good one. So you'll hear them apologize to me whenever we're around smells.
Yeah, just feel bad talking about how good it smells. So we're gonna go ahead and dice this up here. If I can slice it without breaking through our table. Okay,
cool.
This is ready to dish out.
I'm just gonna help myself.
Might as well. Don't be shy. Let's give it a try. See how it turns out here. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that pizza.
No, this pizza. Me, my wife and I, through the past couple of years and not really going out that much, we've gotten a lot of frozen pizza, and kind of gotten into eating those. And this beats that. Holy cow!
Yeah, I think you'd be hard pressed to even find restaurant pizza that's going to top this. I mean. What's that guy? He's like one bite, everybody knows the rules.
Yeah,
and he ranks the pizza.
Yep.
I wish you could try this. I wonder what rank you give it.
That's a pretty stringent scale. Stingent, I should say. But no, man, that was really good. Honestly, like fresh toppings.
8.9.
8.9.
I'm gonna go 8.9.
All right. I would go. I'd go a little less. I'd probably go 8. 8 with it. I'm sorry.
No, I mean
it's good. I'm a bit of a crust snob. I am more of a crust snob.
Yeah,
I mean, the crust is pretty good.
Yeah, we got the basic crust, basic sauce. So yeah, I think 8's good.
It's very good.
So we'll go ahead and show you all what this looks like here a little closer.
I'll try to
do the top camera. Okay, does that show up there? Ooh, it's a beautiful thing. So many colors on there. Got some green, some red, some yellow. Just so diverse. Yeah, like I said, you can, I think there's enough veggies on there. If you wanted to, you could call it a salad.
If you wanted to.
I'm fine with that.
Dude, yeah, and the mushrooms come out really well too. Even for, I mean, I've never really gone around to rehydrating mushrooms before. I'm the culinary novice compared to everybody else in the group right now, so I'm learning.
Yeah, this is the first time I've tried those rehydrated mushrooms on like a pizza. I was worried about them being chewy, but I mean, they worked out good.
It's awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to the sliders too. I think you'll be coming here in a minute.
Ooh, yeah. Sliders and the nuggets to go with the pizza.
It's like pizza and wings.
All wild game.
Right.
And so much of this stuff, yeah, has been harvested locally.
Oh yeah.
We're talking about the deer, the pheasant, but not only that, but some of these veggies and herbs came out of Dan's garden. So we're really talking about, I know Chicago's got its own style, but when you want to talk about a local Illinois pizza, it's hard to get more Illinois than putting Illinois deer, Illinois pheasants, Illinois veggies and herbs on there. So this might be the new, I guess we're not in Chicago, so champagne style.
Yeah,
pizza.
no, for sure. This, and then plus you gotta get some local beer in there, and I think we'll be good to go. Get some Riggs or Triptych or Blind Pig, one of those. Good to go.
I think this would go good with the nice red ale, or maybe a porter.
It's really, really good.
It is good. It's hard to talk when you're eating so
I know.
much stuff.
What were we talking about before? What were we talking about before we got the pizza in?
What's your least
different
favorite?
least
What's your
favorite.
least favorite?
Man,
Or if you can't pick an animal, what's your least favorite meal? that
Honestly,
you've had?
we had pheasant one time. I did have squirrel when I was a kid. And then we made a pot pie out of that. I had frog legs before, but then my dad was all into it at the time, but then my mom was like, frogs, I'm worried about what they're kind of absorbing through their skin and stuff. And she didn't really, I don't know if that's even a thing or not, but that's what my mom felt. So she's like, no more eating frogs. So we did that once,
Yeah,
but we had a lot of them. And then of course we gave it to my sister, my older sister. And before she could swallow, I was like, oh, here's a chicken leg. And we're like, ha ha ha. And then I was like, it's frog. And then she's like freaked out. So that didn't work out too well.
I love frog, but some people do freak out when you put them in the bowl and put salt in there and they start kicking.
Yeah.
They do that.
Yeah.
So
No, she was out of the house and she didn't know that we went out. So she
Okay.
was completely ignorant of it. She's fine.
that's good. I'm glad she got over it.
Yeah, she's over it. It's okay. Don't be too upset.
I
Oh, we got sliders.
Ooh,
Nice.
Sliders, buffalo pheasant sliders.
Dude, with the red hot on top.
A little bit of red hot on top. Oh man. All right. And we are going to chew a little bit carefully because we know it is possible that there could be bones and pellets in there, even though they went through this. And just people who are used to wild game, that's something we get used to. Really, people have had to do this for most of our history. It's only really in recent time where we can be so cocky to just grab a boneless piece of meat and dive into it like a hyena going at a, downed wildebeest or something. So
I'm gonna be honest, first bite.
got one.
Got one first bite. It was on my plate. So heads up.
Got one.
There we go. Yep.
Got it.
There you go. Eating wild game.
But-
This is all real.
Really
We
good.
didn't get chicken.
Well, unless Adam shot a chicken.
Yeah, you never
I
know.
wouldn't put it past him. But the pheasant and the sauce, excellent, really good. And I like the sweet buns to go with the spicy sauce,
Yeah. And again, I mean, it's impossible to tell if this is pheasant or chicken or anything. It's just white meat. Yeah.
Could be pork.
It could be pork. This is amazing. And then the way that they toasted up the buns, the way they did, this is amazing. Yeah.
Definitely like something you would get out of a restaurant. I mean, minus the BB or two, but
I don't think there's gonna be any of these left for lunch tomorrow.
I don't know how many more foods do we have to try. I mean, I say that like a bad thing.
Well, we got the nuggets. We
I'm
got
just
Dan's
wondering
nuggets.
how much room I have to save here.
And the melted cheese in this too, dude.
Yeah.
All right, now the question: which one do you like more right now? I might be going slider. I don't know. This is really good too.
I mean, I like them both. They go good together.
I'm only saying that because the slider's in my mouth right now, but I bet you everybody knows likes that pizza. I might try and change it up.
I think they go great together. Like if you were doing let's say a football watching party,
That's
you know,
exactly.
this would be an excellent spread.
Mm-hmm.
Or anything, whatever you like
Yeah.
to watch. Maybe you get together, watch hunting shows.
There you
That's
go.
cool too.
I've never. Have you ever had anybody get together and watch a hunting show before?
Well, so when I used to live in Missouri and we would go to we were drawing to go duck hunt, right?
Okay.
And so a lot of those times the drawing would be so early in the morning. Us college students, bright idea, you just stay up rather than fall asleep and risk missing the drawing. So yeah, there were times back when we were older with more energy and less wisdom when we would stay up all night watching hunting shows, just getting ready for that duck drawing.
Okay. That's cool. That's not, see, food's all tied to memories too, right? I mean, it's there's more to it than just tasting good. I mean, it's totally how the tradition behind everything. That's why it's fun to have to. If you don't have traditions, go out and make some because they're fun to think back on. I think if you don't have them, you gotta go out and get some. I think.
Yeah, it's great when you can eat something and be thinking about where it came from. You know, be thinking about that experience of going out and hunting with your buddies, and it's almost a shame the next day when maybe you go somewhere and buy a hamburger or something and it's got no story to you.
No.
You know, it can still be good. Don't get me wrong. I'll still eat the hamburger. So I'm not going to turn down a hamburger. I'm not saying that, but there's something added to it when the meal comes with the memories of processing the animal, of harvesting the animal, where it came from, and actually being on the hunt with your friends, family, whoever you're out there with. Like, yeah, it adds that extra level. Like you say, it's more than just tasting good. It comes back with the memories, the being cold, the smell of the fields in the fall, all those things, the dogs running around. Wow, so much.
All the ones you missed. And I had to be able to hit this one.
You can forget those.
The effort. But no, yeah, you don't get this with the McDonald's burger.
No. So we talked about our favorites. We talked about our least favorites. Have you ever seen somebody who was hesitant to eat wild game, do a complete 180?
I don't know. Probably, I mean, I imagine my friends would come over for meals. My house was one of the ones where everybody would just kind of come out and figure it. We'd be at least a starting point anyway before we went out for the night or something like that when we were teenagers. But so I had all these friends who did not. I grew up without really any hunting friends. It was just me and my dad, and then all my buddies just weren't into it. So I'm sure a bunch of those guys came to my house like for the first time, and that was their first intro to wild game meat was through my dad for sure. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, a few times, just like you, because in college we obviously broke college student, just going out and being able to procure your meat through hunting was not only fun, but it really had an actual benefit back then of providing red meat when that's expensive, or white meat. So I did the same thing where I would, we'd have a lot of parties and we'd be the only college students grilling up meat, steaks and kebabs and all these things. And it wasn't beef, it was always deer or squirrel or rabbit or dove or beaver or something like that. But I definitely do remember times there where people who have never been exposed to wild game, I remember dove in particular. We had barbecued a bunch of dove, and it looks odd because it looks like a chicken, but it's dark meat and it's just tiny. It's like the size of a baseball. And so I do remember one guy in particular who was pretty hesitant to try them. But yeah, I think he wound up eating about 11 of them whole after he finally did dig in. And there wasn't even much verbal communication. Once you started eating, it was more of a series of like grunts and moans. And so he really enjoyed those doves. So that's one memory that comes to mind, especially when you were talking about how good doves are. Actually, that season's not that far away.
No, September
about that.
September.
It's
one of the earlier ones.
Dove opener. That's a holiday in some households for sure.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. And then that made me think, I actually had an experience where in graduate school, I had a buddy who was from France and he had no experience with guns or hunting or anything. And so he's never had wild game before. And I took him out on he was staying at his dad's house who had some acres there. And we were up in Michigan. And I took him out squirrel hunting and we just went for a walk real quick. I'm like, hey man, let's go for a walk. We'll take my shotgun with and we see something, we'll take it. And so we got one squirrel and then we took it back and he was a bit of a chef. So he went to town on it and we ended up grilling it and seasoning it and everything else and just kind of ate it. Not too dressed up, but like it tasted good though. So he tried it and now he is into learning how to hunt. But now he's up in Maine now. So he's got plenty of land up there. So, but one of these times he keeps asking me, he's like, hey, will you come to Maine and teach me how to hunt? I'm like, I mean, I'll try to make it out there, man, but we'll see. But
yeah, Maine, that's quite a ways away, but would be a cool place to hunt for a while. Not particularly known for dense wildlife populations, but definitely known for some big woods, picturesque scenery.
Is there anything with waterfowl is that like sea ducks or anything? Or?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, you don't hear a ton about Maine. You hear a lot about like Chesapeake Bay, Maryland, that area being really good. But yeah, I'm sure coastal Maine has got to be decent too. Right? Just something you don't, I guess, what's Maine's population? It's like 500,000. So
yeah,
they probably don't have that many duck hunters. If it is really good, they might keep it quiet.
Might be a secret. I don't know.
Could be.
I don't know.
Let us know if you make it out there.
I've been up there deer hunting before, and I know the deer population up there, like around Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, is probably like 30 per square mile, and up there the deer population is about 0.2. So it's definitely hunting on hard mode. And if you see a flash of brown in the woods, you had a good day because you're like, okay, cool, I saw one.
Yeah, tougher environment without all the agriculture sort of beefing up the food source, and then they've got some
harsh
winters too, super harsh winters. Yeah, you get that snow where deer start post holing through, and they just become super susceptible to predators because their biggest speed is being able to run away and avoid predators like that. And if they're breaking through 3 feet of snow, it's kind of hard for them to do that.
Great.
Yeah, I've got all this pizza just staring me. I'm tempted to grab another piece, but I know that the pheasant nuggets are about 1 minute away. I think I hear them putting them on a plate now. So I guess I'll hold off.
I know.
We'll wait.
I know. Eating on camera is, I don't know. I'm still uncomfortable with that. So
sorry.
We're trying.
It's a new thing.
Yeah, we're trying. This is our new studio here. So hopefully we have more content coming from here.
Mostly we're just eating dinner and we're talking to you all at the same time.
Yeah. While at work. Not bad.
So far, all the meals have been a success. So we haven't messed anything up yet.
No.
That's good.
But I mean, everything's been great.
Yeah. And I don't have much, I don't think there's much of a chance that nuggets get messed up. So I'm thinking it's going to be a slam dunk all the way around.
My hopes are up.
Yes, mine as well. Well, we talked a lot about wild game that we're hunting, but what about fish? Do you have a favorite fish?
Sure.
Or least favorite fish?
Okay, so Great Lakes speaking wise anyway, so I do enjoy perch. I like perch over walleye.
Yellow perch.
Yep, I've been in bars, I've had perch nuggets, I've had walleye nuggets, I prefer the perch.
I'm with you. Yellow perch.
I think it's more tender and flaky, I think, than the walleye. I think walleye is
so
really dense. Walleye is great, but
I'm not turning down walleye.
No,
but yes,
not turning
yellow
any of it down.
perch. Yellow perch. I'm with you.
All right, we got our
Okay.
pheasant nuggets.
Ooh, Chef Adam has brought us some beautiful little
air fryer.
So these are healthy.
These are as healthy.
These are
There
healthy.
you go. From the top row.
Ooh, with 2 different kinds of sauce to choose from here. Got the pork mafia seasoning on there. I'm gonna go with some buffalo.
They're hot.
They are. I can feel they are pretty hot. You got to do that thing that's like,
Yeah.
where you suck air out without throwing the food out of your mouth.
They're tender. They're great.
Wow.
Wow. Again, I wish we had a better, we're learning how hard it is to be a food critic on TV to describe the different flavors of the food.
Yeah. It's
It tastes like chicken. It tastes like a really good chicken nugget.
I know we're not too diverse. We just keep
I
saying
know.
everything.
It tastes like chicken. I know, it's all good. It all tastes like chicken. It's all seasoned
Yeah,
great.
nobody would even know.
No,
If you told them this was chicken nuggets from a fancy restaurant.
this
They
is
would-
fantastic. It's kind of like a sweetness to it. I don't know if that was a sauce.
Just a little bit, yeah, maybe from that pork mafia seasoning.
Yeah, maybe
too.
the seasoning. There's a little bit of a sweetness on the back end. My dad cooked the pheasant when I was a kid, and I did not like it. But none of these are anything like what I remember it tasting like.
Was it tough?
I don't know. It was like oily, I think. Was that a thing? I don't even know. He cooked like a whole pheasant. Almost like, I think he did like almost a bit of turkey. But it just came out weird. I don't know. It just tasted weird to me. I don't know. Maybe my taste buds have changed, but this tastes like chicken to me. So
Wow, I tried the buffalo sauce before, and then I tried the sweet tangy barbecue. And
Yeah.
that's really good too.
that was amazing. You guys got anything you want to say? Have you guys tried it all?
I'll just jump
Have
in.
you
for
guys
the-
been able to eat it all?
We
Have
can
we
snack
been
it.
hungry
Yeah.
at
Is there
all?
any left out there?
Yes, I'll just jump in kind of from behind the scenes here, but kind of to what Jason said, I wasn't a big fan. I started pheasant hunting. That was the first species I hunted with my dad back in the day. And I wasn't a fan either, but that was again just due to preparation. I always remember it being so dried out and my dad trying to grill it. And it's just, I feel like that's just not the move. You gotta keep it moist. Like I mentioned earlier, when we were cooking the sliders, it's an easy meat to dry out.
Mhm.
So just try a bunch of different recipes, see what you like. But again, especially if you're trying to serve it to somebody, try to keep it, moist and not too dried out, because that could definitely deter someone.
And the brine really does help out with that.
Mhm. Yeah, I really wish we could get zoomed in on this, because if you squeeze this, there's juice coming out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, that brine is in there.
Yeah,
It's
juicy.
phenomenal. Good job, guys.
Super juicy. Good work all the way around. Yeah.
Yep.
Really good.
So, I mean, I think that's about it that we have right now. So this was the first try of doing a little bit of a cooking segment. We appreciate you sticking around and watching it with us. So there's just, I mean, again, you can interchange any of these recipes that we've talked about today with anything else. I mean, really, you put pheasant on pizza if you want to. Yeah,
Super
you do
versatile.
steak, what is it, country fried steak?
Yeah, different. Yeah, instead of we did the buffalo and barbecue dipping sauce, we could have switched it up and done gravy
Yeah.
and done mashed potatoes and put those nuggets on top of the mashed potatoes, put some gravy on top
Oh.
of there. Uh-oh.
Dan's, next time, Dan, we'll get that one on the docket.
We'll get that one next time.
So yeah, so if you guys have any questions about preparing food, or if you find a recipe that you really like and you want to share with us, let us know. And we'll check it out. We'll make one, we'll do like a written in recipe one where we try people's recipes for the first time.
Heck yeah, if
That'd be
it's
cool.
wild, we'll give it a try.
Yeah. So so look us up at Illinois Learn to Hunt, and we'll see you next time.